What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so a little while back, several videos back, we covered the actual code around the Secretary of State, when and when he cannot revoke visas, as a matter of fact. And for no apparent reason, and I did not know this was the case, for no reason at all, the Secretary of State can revoke your visa. And then you would be in the country illegally, as a matter of fact. We read that out. They have that sole authority to do so. They can revoke a visa for damn near any reason they want to. Just about. Now, that has to go to court. Sure, that has to be worked out. But they can absolutely revoke your visa. Just full discretion, full disclosure, boom, outright. Now, I said that for a reason. Keep that in mind as we're reading this. And once again, welcome back to the channel, y'all. This is one of these good stories where the media manipulation just tells on itself right in the first freaking paragraph, folks. And they've gone to the trouble of actually going, that whole, oh, we said this without evidence. Well, they went ahead and put that in the headline this time. Check this out, y'all. How the Trump administration labeled students as criminals with no evidence. Oh, is that so? Well, hang on. That spoiler alert. The Trump administration ordered international students to be effectively designated as criminals without checking if the information was true. Court records reviewed by CNN show, along with new information that was revealed by a government official at a court hearing Tuesday. Oh, that sounds bad, doesn't it? Sounds real bad. Thousands of visa holders had their records changed in databases, leading to them being barred from classes and work, disenrolled from universities, and even being advised to leave the country when they were fully in compliance with immigration rules, lawyers have said, and court records show. Is that so, huh? Lawyers said that. Remember, lawyers said that. That's not the government saying that. The common thread for dozens of students mentioned in federal court cases reviewed by CNN is that at some point they had contact with law enforcement. Get this, folks. The cases were all minor. Going 10 over the speed limit, underage drinking on spring break, or shoplifting, certainly not of the severity to justify losing their status under the Code of Federal Regulations, which specifies someone can lose a right to stay for a crime of violence for which a sentence of more than 1 year imprisonment may be imposed. This is fascinating. So they said, there's no evidence they committed any crimes, and then they go on to tell you that, yes, there is evidence that they committed several crimes. Sure, minor infractions. Do you think that matters, folks? Do you really think that matters? No. Once again, these are the people that were at these protests during the Biden administration. Most of these people are getting their visas revoked. But once again, the corporate press, they're not going to tell you that. These are all people that were involved with those riotous protests, those violent protests on college campuses. The whole Hamas and Israel stuff that was going on, I think, last summer. Yeah, these are all people that, we've investigated and come to find out that is the case. But the corporate press, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that, oh, there's no evidence that these people have committed any crimes at all. And then they go on to tell you, but hang on, that there was one that was speeding and there was some shoplifting and blah, blah, blah. Insane. Once again, folks, I remind everybody that the Secretary of State can revoke a visa for any freaking reason that they want to. Now, you can argue, is that's fair or not? Sure. But come on, let's at least all agree on the facts. Can we agree on the facts? Indeed, many never made it to court, were dismissed, or the accused were found not guilty. With no proven wrongdoing, the students' records were clear. Records were even sealed, but they still existed in the massive government repositories of data, where they appear to have been assessed by the Trump administration officials. Yeah. As a matter of fact, this is so fascinating, y'all. Government officials have acknowledged in court they have not followed the basic innocence until proven guilty foundation of U.S. law and launched the mass exercise without individual reviews. Now, what they are doing right here is they are invoking the whole innocent until proven guilty for these people who are not U.S. citizens, for crying out loud. This is just so fascinating how these people conflate our Constitution that applies to citizens and then a different set of rules that applies to people that are not citizens. They are not the same. They are vastly different, folks. But once again, the corporate press is not going to tell you this. They're going to lie to you. They're going to leave that information out to lead you down a path of destruction, to make you hate Donald Trump. That is all what this is for. It's so you look upon the administration unfavorably, to say that, oh, Donald Trump is breaking the law. He's revoking these people's human rights. No, I'm sorry. That is civil rights, by the way. Judges reacted to the clear signs of government overreach and lack of due process with extraordinary rebukes to government lawyers during hearings and demanded answers. With many early rulings going against the administration, the government backed down. Did they? Are you sure about that? Because I don't think they have. These people, right, once again, you cannot force the government to give somebody a visa. Once they've been revoked, that's it, folks. That is it. You cannot force them to give somebody a visa. No. The rule of law does not work in that manner. But there have already been serious consequences. Students were told they no longer had legal status, which that is true. Some left the country, fearing they could be detained as others have been, leaving them with no legal recourse. What is that, corporate press? With no legal recourse because they're in the country illegally. Once again, folks, when you build your worldview upon lies, and you are pretty much in charge of doling out information, eventually those lies are going to catch up with you. This is the corporate press outright admitting that people that are in the country illegally have no legal recourse. Just like I've been telling you. And now they are saying it. I love this, folks. But, a lot of people, they won't catch that. They won't see that. They'll read right over that and not even think twice because they're so infuriated by Donald Trump because of the previous, 4 or 5 freaking paragraphs here, that they're so mad because Donald Trump is revoking rights. He's doing all this unconstitutionally. They're so mad about that they don't realize that the corporate press made a whoopsie and just gave the game away, folks. No legal recourse and effectively wasting years of study. I think this is a win for the current administration, said attorney Bradley Bruce Benias, who represents multiple students whose status was terminated. If they scare students and 10% leave, they are thrilled, and they will do it again and again. If courts stop the administration, they can complain about activist judges stopping them from deporting criminals. Win-win. That is right, because we do have activist judges that get on the side of criminals. As a matter of fact, we've seen it time and time again. Internal reviews were underway at the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State to reassess the change of student statuses. At least one federal court case is seeking information on any involvement of the Office of Biometric Identity Management, which I didn't even know exist, which supplies the technology for storing, comparing, and sharing biometric data as part of DHS. The OBIM webpage says it controls an identification system and currently holds more than 320 million unique identities and processes more than 400,000 biometric transactions per day. That's insane. Asked about the quality control review, a State Department spokesperson told CNN, "Sorry, but we do not comment on any ongoing litigation." On Tuesday, a senior Department of Homeland Security official, Andre Watson, was forced to appear in a Washington, D.C. courtroom before U.S. District Judge Anna Reyes to disclose new details about how DHS were terminating student and exchange visitor information systems records through a program he revealed is called the the Student Criminal Alien Initiative. He told the judge it was done at the instructions of leadership. At an April 16th, which is my birthday hearing, that same judge was exasperated with the administration regarding the case of a student who had his status changed from active to terminated in SEVIS, but administration officials could not tell her what the impact was and how it all happened. Now, who cares about the impact? Do you think the administration is going to know the impact of somebody having their status revoked, their legal status revoked? I mean, obviously they're going to be no longer in the country legally. That's about all that they could say about that. How is the administration official going to know about the status of that person? Do you mean if they're still in the country or not? Maybe the corporate press could clarify that a little bit. But they don't, do they? The first question in the case is, what is the practical import of canceling someone within Ray's? Within Ray's told Joseph Carilli of the Department of Justice's Civil Division during the April 16th hearing. That kind of didn't make any sense. Let's reread that just to make sure. The first question in this case is, what is the practical import of canceling someone within Ray's? Told Joseph Carilli, of the Department of Justice's Civil Division during the April. Yeah, that kind of doesn't make any sense, does it? And if you don't know, we're all going to wait here while you call someone and find out, because I'm not going to get jerked around by you telling me you're not prepared to answer the key question in this case. A new DOJ attorney was substituted for Carilli for Tuesday's proceedings and in other cases where Carilli had been representing the administration. Sorry about that, y'all. Ray's tried in vain to get an answer to whether the student was allowed to be in the U.S. Carilli responded, the government's position is that he has not. ICE has not terminated his F-1 status. And for ICE to be able to terminate his F-1 status, they would have to put him in 1229A removal proceedings. Ray's asked again, is he lawfully in the United States right now, yes or no, to which Carilli said, I'm not able to answer that question, Your Honor. How are you not able to answer that question? Ray's continued. What does that even mean? He's either here legally or he's not here legally. Maybe the guy doesn't know if he's in the country or not. How about that? You ever thought about that, Judge? You're the government's lawyer. Is he here legally? I mean, how is the student supposed to know if he's here legally, if you don't even know if he's here legally? To me, it sounds like this judge is just being a prick. Because if they had their status revoked, which is why they're in court, don't you think that means they're in the country illegally at that point because their legal status was revoked, Judge? Do these people not think beyond what's right in front of them? Do they not think beyond, I gotta get Trump. I gotta do something to go against the Trump administration. This is TDS at its best, folks. Look, okay, I can answer that right quick. The government revoked the status of this one person. Then, Judge, what does that mean, Judge? That means they're in the country illegally. These people are insane, y'all. Carilli stated he was unlawfully admitted to the United States before. Ray's interrupted. No, Mr. Carilli. There's a no. Mr. Carilli, there is a yes or no answer here. We are not. This is not Schrodinger's visas. Funny. Yeah, no, it's not. Right. It's either a yes or a no, but he just said no. He was unlawfully admitted to the United States. Wonder what that means. If you cannot answer the question, you have to explain why you cannot answer the question. Carilli replied, I cannot answer that question. I think this dude's just trolling the judge at this point. The hearing was in federal court where no recordings were permitted, but the frustration evident even in the transcript is clear. The approach by the government was quite different on Tuesday with its decision to provide the judge with more information. Watson was one of the officials questioned by the judge during the hearing, where he revealed that a team of DHS employees had run the names of 1.3 million foreign students against the National Crime Information Center, a national registry recording individuals' interactions with law enforcement, or NCIC. Yeah, but that pretty much checks your background. If you've ever been arrested, if you have any active warrants, blah, 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 you get it. A team of 10 to 20 DHS employees used spreadsheets to compile batches of the large number of names, Watson said. DHS was working with the State Department, which conducted its own analysis. As a result, the state instructed DHS to terminate SEVIS status for 3,000 students, according to the DOJ attorney Johnny Walker, who was representing the administration in court Tuesday. So what does that mean, folks? What exactly does that mean? That means they are lying. That means these people went over all these people's records, saw they had a criminal record, and said, we're going to revoke their visa because they come into this country and decide to get caught up with the law. They decide to break our laws. Is this the type of people we want in the country? I know my camera just shifted, and I'm sorry, but it pisses me off when the corporate press does nonsense like this. It's BS. Oh, without evidence. There's your evidence. Watson submitted information in court filings across the country revealing that in many cases student SEVIS records were terminated as a result of NCIC criminal checks. However, he acknowledged in affidavits that the disposition of the charge was unknown, indicating that officials didn't follow up to see what ultimately happened. Do you think that really matters if they were actually convicted on whatever charge? I don't think that matters. I really don't. If you're in another country temporarily going to school and you decide to get into a situation where you get caught up with the police, bye-bye. Now, is that going to be the case for an American citizen? Abso-freaking-lutely not. And if the administration was arresting people for some reason because they've been arrested before, I'm sorry. But this is just revoking their legal status, by the way. These people are insane. Judge Reyes on Tuesday remarked that in addition to the chaos wrought on schools and students now were on the hook for legal bills to pay the lawyers who sued on their behalf. That's their fault for hiring a freaking lawyer. Sorry. You should have just left the freaking country. All of this could have been avoided, she said, if the administration had just taken a beat instead of just rushing things. Department of Justice lawyers are now handling more than 100 cases, many involving multiple plaintiffs. Homeland Security officials are complaining that responding to so many cases is stopping them from focusing on national security threats, and university officials also say this year has been unlike any other. The same small staff of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials are responding to pleadings in other cases of those cases, a Department of Justice attorney noted in a response last week. That's funny. So, yeah, that is not the fault of the administration, by the way. That is the fault of all of these activist judges and all of these, non-governmental organizations that are suing on behalf of people that are either in the country illegally or had their legal status revoked because they decided to go and break our laws. Those officials perform important national security functions, and given the volume and rapid response times required to respond to courts in more than 100 emergency cases, they now have limited time to perform their core national security duties. Yeah, that has nothing to do with them. That has everything to do with the court system itself and all of these activist judges wanting more litigation for all this nonsense. The ACLU suing to keep these people here for some reason. These people go into court, blah, 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 blah. You get it. The list goes on. These are criminals asking to stay in our country when their statuses have been revoked. Look, I get it. That's how it works, right? They have the right because they had legal status. They have the right to go and fight that out in court. But hey, look, it's not our fault that they chose to break the law. That's not the administration's fault. I'm sorry if you guys can't handle it. Work later, for crying out loud. I'm sorry. You think any average American citizen is going to give a damn because you guys have to work more? I'm sorry. I don't care. I have to work overtime all the time. Suck it up, Buttercup. That's all I got to say. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Blows my mind, y'all. These activist judges are quite insane, if you ask me. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.